Happy Saturday, January 7th, 2023. Woohoo! Just another short stream tonight. I did not get a chance to do the earlier show because I was filming some stuff for our live presentation that we have here at the center next week. The one that I showed you the commercial for leading in, Project Ripper. If you're local in Las Vegas, head on out January 13th and 14th. We will reenact all 5 Ripper murders in my home plaza. If any of you have ever seen my home plaza when we did the tour, and when we showed it on New Year's Eve, you'll note that it is it suits itself to Whitechapel 1888. Like I said, we were filming stuff for that today, and Enosh had his stream, his black and white red all over stream earlier tonight, so the time didn't line up. So here we are with a Midnight Express. Midnight Express is basically anything you guys want to talk about. I'm going to try to discipline myself and keep it at 45 minutes because I am tired, and tomorrow's a big day. Tomorrow's Saturday we're a weekend business in Vegas, so I need all my energy, but I did want to talk to you guys and see what's going on. So, let's see. Let me make sure that we're up and going and on all. Yep, we're up and going. How you doing, Movie Lover 1989? Was that the year you were born? Wow, you were born when I wrapped up my freshman year in high school, if that's the truth. How you doing, Darcipio? Kinky Spinker? Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. We did this back in 2020 when we had planned it for April 2020, but as we all know, historically, what happened in April 2020, that turned out to be one of the worst months of the pandemic. And I remember doing it and getting it set up, and when the pandemic was just starting to break in the news and was starting to hear us, and things started to get shut down. And then we were a couple weeks out, and we were wondering, should we start selling tickets? Should we cancel? We had a lot of people that were on board at the time, and the reality of the pandemic just hadn't hit us yet. So what we ended up doing is just waiting, and then all of a sudden, within a couple of days, the NBA shut down, everything shut down, and then within 5 days of us being on the fence about things, Vegas shut down, the Strip shut down. So, like I said, and things that were not being shut down, even in wars, world wars were being shut down because of the pandemic. So, what ended up happening is we ended up getting it done in October of 2020, which was still knee deep in the pandemic. But things are starting to come back a little bit. You were starting to get your sports back a little bit. Vegas was opening up a little bit. We still had a lot of things, restrictions. If you look at our website, we did this whole thing with masks and everything else. But yeah, Project Ripper is a lot of fun. I am a horror fan, and I'm also a serial killer. And serial killers fascinate me, and Jack the Ripper is the first recognized serial killer, publicly recognized serial killer. And we basically take 2 nights and we reenact all 5 murders. We even do an autopsy on night 1, and the guests that come in, they are tasked with collecting all the clues and finding out who Jack the Ripper was. We switch it up every time we do it. I'm not going to tell anybody who it is this time because you might be watching locally or might be heading out. But yeah, we want you to dress up in your greatest 19th century gear. I'll be dressed as a police officer, an 1888 police officer. We did it in October. It was hot as hell. Still in Vegas, but what's on my mouth? Hold on. Anyway, yeah, but we've had fake blood, we had entrails, we had body parts, we had clues. We blew up the Dear Boss letters that were that Jack the Ripper had. We even added a fake one to throw the people off. And at the end of the weekend, you take all the clues and all the questioning, asking, and everything else that they've done over the last 2 days, and each person would stand up and make their case for who they thought it was, and the person who got it closest and used most information, we ended up giving them a bunch of prizes. It was cool. It's fun. I want to do one with Blade Runner down the line where we're hunting down replicants, but like I said, just got to get past this weekend first. I ordered 3 mangoes today. Go Go Loser Rangers Volume 1 and Volume 2, Kaiju number 8, and it's a year my favorite Batman was born. Oh, you were born even less than that. Okay, so thank you for making me feel even more older. 1996, that was a year after I opened up the store. Oh, man, I feel old. Well, how old was I in 1990? I was 22 in 1996. Oh, my goodness. 1996 was a good year, though. 1995 was a good year as well, so it's a weight game and all. I mean, William Vegas fully recovered from me? I think so. I think there's a lot of things that once they went away, they were not coming back at all. Like there are some casinos that closed down, the Texas Station and some of the station casinos that closed down during the pandemic, and they never reopened. They knocked them down. But I think a lot of people use the pandemic as an excuse to downsize things. But what ended up happening is once supply and demand returned, it ended up hurting the industry. So they may not have, wanted to recover as quickly as they did, but once the people started coming, you couldn't run things at 50% of staff, and you couldn't have a bunch of low-wage workers running around because the people, when they came back from the pandemic, they expect the same service in Vegas as they did pre-pandemic. So they tried to cut corners, but I think right now we're fully recovered. I think what hurt us more than as much as the pandemic after that was inflation, because a lot of our traffic comes out here via car. And when gas was so high, you just couldn't justify it. And even if you were able to justify getting out here, you had less money to spend on Vegas than you would if inflation wasn't hurting you. No. It is the only thing about From Hell I do not like. Everything else about From Hell, the acting, the ambiance, all that, I love. I hate that theory. And there's a lot of theories out there about Jack the Ripper, and that's what we do when we do our game. Was we take all those historical theories and we throw it out there so that it's not so easy. But I really thought that's where From Hell. What is on my mouth? Hold on. But yeah, those were those I don't know what's going on. That theory was the most outlandish one that they came up with. And even the graphic novel, it's based on the graphic novel on one of Alan Moore's graphic novels, I believe. Yeah, I never got, but there's a lot of crazy theories out there. One of them was the royalty one. I mean, what I've done over the years, I've studied the Ripper case to the point where I wish I could get in the TARDIS and go to 1888 Whitechapel. And a lot of the theories are out there. There are theories that range from that it was a part of the royal family, that it was an American, Kosminski, who immigrated. There are theories that that not all 5 murders were done by the same person. Because remember, back then we didn't have CSI. We didn't have a lot to link with. Today we would link these same type of murders with DNA or forensics. They didn't have a lot of the forensics that they had back then. So there's a legit possibility that the Ripper murders could have been committed by separate people. Now the double event, the 2 before the 5th one, I think were done by him. But the rest of them, there's a possibility that could be Jax the Ripper's, or it could have been a female in certain cases, that people say. But I don't think it was a female, because the sheer overpowering and stealth that he was able to do. Whoever did these murders overpowered whoever it was really quick. They didn't get a scream out, they didn't get a sound out, and they were able to blend back into society. I think you'd have to be a pretty powerful person to do that. Not saying that a woman can't, but a woman of that era versus a guy of that era, I think it would have been a bit of a stretch. So, but yeah, I enjoyed From Hell, the graphic novel, and the movie. Johnny Depp and what's her face, Christine Ricci. But that theory was, I don't know, that's not one of my favorite. William, will Gun DCU films be bound to 45-day streaming windows? I'm assuming it will depend on how much momentum the movie has. If the movie, I don't think they're going to make that decision outright. I think they're going to see how the movie draws. And if the movie is losing its legs, like say, for instance, it has a big weekend, opening weekend, but by week 3, it's starting to lose its steam, and other movies are starting to come in and take up the screens, then yeah, I think they will move it based on that. It could be 45 windows, or it could be 60. It's all going to depend on how much money the movie is making and where they can get their best value from it. Hi, Aaron. How you doing? Forensics has basically narrowed it down to like these places. Yeah. What were the three? I know Kosminski was one of them. Aaron Kosminski. Some of the guys were one of because we were talking about this today during our meeting. Let's see. I do. You know what? You know how I get when I start talking wrestling? It's even worse when I start talking serial killers, and it sounds sick, but they're so fascinating. Let's see. 3 most likely Ripper suspects. All right, so see, and it changes. Dude, there's so many. I mean, Prince Albert Victor, Duke of Clarence, was a suspect. But let's go with there's one that they tried to narrow down with DNA, but the DNA was inconclusive. Hold on. Let's see. But, yeah, like I said, it changes a whole bunch of times. But I think it was Aaron Kosminski, but that's just based on the evidence I have. I wasn't even around. There's no way to really the most likely rapper too. Yeah, see this one. Yeah, so there's still people trying to figure out to this day, but the problem is that it is yeah, see Jack the Ripper was a 23-year-old Polish barber named and they did this based on the DNA that was on a swath of cloth that he left there. But like I said, there's so many. As we get once I get past Ripper, Project Ripper, which is a live event we're holding, I'm actually going to do an after show, and that's going to be mainly for the people like the public, and we're going to go over a lot of things. And I'm going to probably be dressed up like the cop, and we'll have some of our cosplayers that are there, and we'll stream that on both our channels. And we're probably going to go over the history of Jack the Ripper, because right now I don't have all my data pulled up in the, like I do at the store. At the store I got. We got weapons and stuff laid out. We got likely murder weapons. We have the fake blood. We have, I know this is graphic, but we have the entrails, which one of the victims was disemboweled. So when you walk up on our crime scene, we staged it as best we can with our low budget. We staged it exactly how it looked. Murder 5, which is his most gruesome murder, Mary Jane Keller. That one was done inside. We actually have a place inside called Photo Bang Bang, which has all kinds of art period photo backdrops. And we actually did a dummy up to where we carved up the dummy, added the blood, added everything in it so that it looked exactly like victim number 5 did when they peered through that window. Another thing we did is for our detectives and our guests to make it real, we had this liquid that smelled like rotten meat. It was literally designed for haunted houses to smell like rotten meat, and we spread that everywhere. So when you walked into the building, you smelled the rotting corpse. That's how detailed we were doing this. So, yeah, I know it sounds sick. I know I'm a sick individual, but you know how I love the 3Ds, and Jack the Ripper pretty much gave them to us before anything. So, hey, how you doing, 4,000? Are you here to troll me? Some say it was a medical student based on the fact that he knew where certain body parts are. But okay, so Jack the Ripper took, this might be true. There's nothing, I don't have enough proof to disprove this, but I'm not a doctor, and I know where a uterus is to remove it. I mean, I think that if we got on the sex ed or any basic biology class, we could remove a kidney. We could remove, and and another thing that people like to say, that's another theory is that he's a doctor is because he was able to do it without getting caught, which means he would have to have precision and skill. That's a possibility. One of the reasons why Jack the Ripper didn't get caught is, in my opinion, he was from there. He was either from there or somebody who frequented Whitechapel a lot, because the reason he was able to get in and out is he knew the ins and outs. One of the things we did in our plaza when we did it, we have back entrances and front entrances to a lot of our buildings, and we moved our suspect in the same manner as he would move to Whitechapel. We moved him through the Union Square, which is our plaza. He was able to kill, stalk, or a lot of times his victims are prostitutes. What they were doing was illegal, so what they would do is they would take him to a place where they wouldn't be disturbed by the public or police. He knew the area, and that basically gave him shield and shelter to do whatever he wanted to. So all the victims knew him, and he knew Whitechapel. So he wouldn't have necessarily needed to be a doctor in order to pull this off stealthily, but he could have been. Like I said, that's one of the things about being an unsolved murder is, and not only an unsolved murder, an 134-year-old, unsolved murder, which means we don't have the means to go back and test anything. Like we can find BTK, who started killing in the 70s, because of DNA, and he was still alive. If we ever get DNA that matches whatever we have on the Zodiac Killer, we can find him. We're talking about any evidence that would have been had during 1888 is gone and mishandled or lost, because they weren't forward-thinking people. Now, even before DNA, if it was within 20 years of a crime, they would take swaths of DNA, blood, semen, all that stuff, and they would keep it, because they knew at some point they would have it. We were close enough at the time to be able to forecast that. In 1888, we barely had electricity in London. So, William, what does Gunn have to do with his Superman reboot to get you hooked? Does it have to be better than Man of Steel? I mean, it has to be as good as Man of Steel, in my opinion. All I ever ask, if you're going to take away something, replace it with something better. So it has to be at least as good or better. I have to see where it fits, where he's going, because Superman is going to be the doorway into his universe. That's why it's so important. Superman is the center of the DC universe, so it's logical that it will be the center of his universe. I think my judgment on his Superman would be how it fits what he's going forward. And, I just have to have a lot more. But yeah, for me, if you're not going to give me Cavill, you're going to have to give me something better than Cavill, in my opinion. All right. How you doing, Donovan? All right. Now there's no definitive evidence that Alan Moore's story was a great. Yeah, it was. And it was interesting. And it was good storytelling. I just don't know, with all the evidence that I've looked over and over and over again, there are just too many holes in that theory. And that given advantage, I've had a lot of time to look at that story a lot, because that was like, dude, if you ever get a chance, if you guys haven't, get From Hell. Get From Hell. It is done beautifully. I forgot who did the artwork for it. I'm not at the store, but I actually have that. I have several copies about. It's one of the prizes we give away for the winners. We give away a lot of stuff in From Hell. I always make sure that we have at least one or two Ripper items there for them. And everybody loves From Hell. Even if I don't agree with the ending, the way the story is told, that one scene where he slashes the throat of the one girl just by walking by, and he just hears his voice say, "Excuse me," and then you just see her drop after her. I mean, it's a beautifully done movie. But that his theory, I got to think about that one. Oh yeah, definitely. And it's like I said, I used to think I was a sicko until I found out I'm not alone. Not only am I not alone, but we get people, like I said, if you go to our Instagram site right now, the Sci-Fi Center Instagram, or our Facebook page, you'll see the pictures of the people from the original Project Ripper we did. They're all dressed up. I didn't. The pictures we put on Instagram, I did not put all of them on there, because some of the crime scenes we reenacted were pretty graphic, and I didn't want to get kicked off of Facebook, so or Instagram, or Twitter for that matter. Because we really did it up. I mean, we would get the detectives out there, or I guess we call them detectives. They would do the murder. They would visit the crime scene. We would have a real live person laying there with the wounds And they're as much as we could do it, and we would have if the scene called for entrails to be there, they were there laying beside the person, and you had to get all that crime scene stuff together, and we would take pictures. We would have the pictures as many as we could get from the original crime scenes, and we would map it out, and we would look at the records because they took notes, and we would do our best. I mean, within obviously we're not in Whitechapel. We're in a plaza. It's a pretty big plaza. It's a double-decker plaza that it has an enclosed courtyard in it, and the landlord gives us permission to do this, and all the businesses that are around us are involved. So if you own a sandwich shop, like we have a Sister Kim's Kitchen, which is where I eat a lot, they're part of it. We have Hellbound Toys, a horror toy, but they're part of it. And each time you get a set of basic clues by paying for your ticket to the event. However, if you go to any of the establishments in the plaza and you buy something, depending on what level you purchase, you get an extra clue, which we call a premium clue, that helps you further along the case than the person that just gets the free clues that are embodied in the ticket. So if you go to Square Bar, which is right inside, you buy a drink, the bartender actually has another clue for you that the person who doesn't buy the drink gets. You come into the Sci-Fi Center, you get your basic clue that we all have in there. But if you buy a pop bigger from me, you get another clue beyond that. So the whole event is designed to get people out of their house and come down to our plaza and frequent our businesses and meet some of our people. In each of the businesses you walk into, before they give you your basic clue, you get the bookstore tells you about what they do, the bartender, and everybody gives you their thing, so that after Project Ripper is over, you come back. So it's a business move, but I have fun doing it. So. Yeah, I'm not only just into ripperology, I'm into, serial killers intrigue the hell out of me. One of my favorite movies, other than, I know Silence of the Lambs is a great movie, but the movie that Hannibal Lecter originally appeared in was called Manhunter. It was released by Michael Mann in 1986. If you have not seen Manhunter, you need to see that movie. It's one of the most underrated movies of all time and one of the best serial killer movies ever made. All right, so let's go. They caught the Golden State Killer, but not the Zodiac Killer. Yeah, the Zodiac Killer, I actually think he's dead, to be honest with you, but he could still be alive because he would have been in the same age group as the Golden State Killer. The Golden State Killer, they just had the thing that the Golden State Killer did that the Zodiac Killer did not do was sexual assault. What ended up catching the Golden State Killer because not only was he a serial killer, he was a rapist, and he was raping people before there was any thought of DNA, or the criminals had any forethought of DNA. So obviously he was leaving evidence behind that could be used to get him. Same thing with the Green River Killer. The Green River Killer had sexual intercourse with every victim that he killed. All right, he was killing in the late 70s, early 80s. He killed 40, 50 people, but he wasn't thinking about DNA. The police way was being developed while these guys were killing, but they didn't know about it. So with the Zodiac Killer, he did not sexually assault or any of his known victims. So he didn't leave the type of evidence behind that the Golden State Killer, BTK Killer did, or the Green River Killer did. So that's a major difference between why one was caught and some serial killers are caught and others were not. Only William would find pleasure in Jack the Ripper's creation. Yeah, dude, listen. Obviously, when it comes to serial killers, you think about the victims and the people who are harmed by these things. And by no means am I glorifying what they did, but they did it. It is done. It is history. It's just like there are wars that are fought, but the fascination of the mind of the people who start these, I'm not honoring the people who do this, but I'm intrigued about what is it in your brain that you're able to shut off and kill somebody and go back to your normal life. I step on a bug that I could have avoided, and I'm like, wow, did I really need to do that? Because I've jumped over it. I have such a value of life that I would feel guilty even if I killed somebody in justifiable homicide. I would carry that guilt for me the rest of my life. So it always intrigues me to how a serial killer or a mass murderer can not only shut that part of their mind out, to shut those screams out, but to function so well that they can interweave themselves into society for decades without ever getting caught. That's intriguing to me. You know, like I said, it's horrific what they did, but what they did is done. I'm just studying the aftermath. But yeah, there's a fine line there. I'm not rooting for the serial killer. I am just fascinated by the human condition that would produce a serial killer and the game that they played. I mean, this guy who killed 4 people in Idaho a couple weeks ago, they just finally caught him. I want to know what's inside of his head. He was a criminal Scientologist. I mean, he was a forensic student, so he knew what the police were looking for. So he had such value of no value for human life to the point where it was just a study for him. He killed 4 people just to see how things would go out. And it's such a contrast to the normal human being who most people shy away from violence at all. These guys are cunning, they're calculating, and they can sit across. If I killed somebody, you guys would know it in 5 minutes. I'd be sweating. I would confess. These guys go their entire lives and live with families and work in jobs, and some of them are in law enforcement and just completely shut themselves off. So to me, that's just fascinating, you know? So yeah, you have the Ripper configuration. I mean, I don't find pleasure. I don't find pleasure. I think pleasure is the wrong word. I find fascination. I find intrigue in it. So, can they solve the Black Dahlia murder? Who knows? That one is so old. Someone is going to have written down in the letter. I think some of these murders, to be honest with you, they have solved, but they never released some of the information to the general public because the people who did the murders were powerful, or they didn't have enough evidence to convict, but they knew who did it. I personally think that they may have known who Jack the Ripper was. They just didn't have enough evidence to convict, and the person either probably died, left the country, or they were institutionalized under something else. And at that time, stopping the murders was what the pressure was. Finding out who it is was secondary. Stopping the murder. So if the cops back then found the murder and it was somebody who was well connected or something like that, maybe they didn't make it public. Maybe they did, as long as the killing stopped, because once the killings just stopped, they were hot on a certain suspect, and then either that suspect gets institutionalized, and all of a sudden the murders stop. So I have a feeling that Scotland Yard and Whitechapel Police ended up finding out who it was, but they just didn't have enough evidence, and they didn't really know what they were dealing with. Remember, serial killing wasn't the norm in 1888. That's my opinion. A lot of these guys, I can believe the Zodiac Killer hasn't been caught once again. Zodiac Killer didn't commit sexual assault. So had there would have been DNA taken from the bodies and everything else. Because even before DNA being able to narrow it down like we do now, there were still certain things you could get at profiling information. And that was the only thing, and that they had it for. But we ended up building technology to explore it. So he didn't sexually assault any of his victims. He may not have even licked all of his stamps that he sent his codes to. And he was very smart. Another reason why he didn't get caught was, once again, it was 1966 when he committed his first known murder, I believe. We as a society were not prone to that. There was no CSI. There was no The First 48. There weren't even that many serial killer movies. In fact, Dirty Harry was based on Zodiac. So as a society, we weren't on the lookout for what the Zodiac was doing. He formed his mentality and we followed along. He was walking around and close to being caught, but we weren't trained as a society to look for the things that would have probably caught the Zodiac. These days, with so many serial killers having happened, and so many of them being sensationalized, in history, I think the Zodiac would have been caught in a few months, to be honest with you, because he was cocky. But he could be cocky in 67 because we didn't have the means. He was doing things from a payphone. He called the cops from a payphone. If he would have called the cops from a phone today, they would triangulate the system. Even on a burner phone, they would catch him. All right, they would catch him. And the evidence that we're able to track shoe prints down to who this is the store you bought them. We could not do that back in '67. So I can believe that they never caught the Zodiac Killer because of the time that he did it. Same thing with Jack the Ripper. Jack the Ripper would have been Jack the Convict in 2023. Jack the Ripper would have gotten 1 or 2 victims, but he wasn't getting 5. But he damn sure wasn't going to get away in this modern era. No, especially in London, where even Whitechapel, which was a ghetto then, there's cameras all over. There's a show on Discovery ID. What is it? I watch it all the time, but it has surveillance cameras, and they use the surveillance to see no evil. See no evil is the show. They use surveillance camera to track down suspects. Jack the Ripper would have literally been Jack the murderer, Jack the one-time murderer, or Jack the double murderer, but he wouldn't have been Jack the Ripper. And he wouldn't have been sending shit to the police like he did, because BTK, not only was it the DNA that caught BTK, it was this dummy was leaving clues for the cops and the press. He asked the police, "Hey, be honest. If I use this disc, can you trace it back?" And of course the cops said no, and they used it to trace his dumbass back. Then they used the DNA. They used the DNA from his daughter to connect it to him, and there you go. But so Jack the Ripper, his biggest advantage was the fact that his murders took place in 1888. Because we would have got his ass today. How you doing, Larry? What happened to the Hughes brothers? Last thing I know that they I don't know, man. Bookie V-Live was actually a pretty good movie, too. Daniel Martin, the Black Dahlia murder tied in with the hotel where the girl's body was found in the water tower still gives me chills. Yeah, and like I said, that was somebody with influence. And LAPD in the 1920s, whatever Black Dahlia murder took place, they were running take. Shit, LAPD up until beyond the Rodney King, for a lot of divisions were corrupt. That's one of the reasons why OJ got off. It didn't matter. OJ could have got up and said, "I did it." We were in LA. We didn't believe LAPD because there was just so much corruption at the time. So a Hollywood exec or somebody with money, with cash, they could have made that murder go away. I actually think they know who did the Black Dahlia murder. Eat my tacos. I love the name. William, will ever think of someone who crossed a comic? Yeah, I do. And I mean, Cross has some sadistic violence. I have to carry Cross on the top shelf because some of the covers of Cross, like I was telling you guys before, has organs and dismemberment on the cover. So yeah, that's dude, I could see Choma doing it. I could see somebody doing it. I don't know if it'll be as graphic because like some of these were super graphic. Like The Boys is nowhere near as graphic on TV as it is in the comic. Same thing with Invincible. Invincible is much bloodier in the comic than it is on that show. Even though both of those shows are violent, they're not as violent as their source material. So I could see somebody doing Cross. Yeah, the anagram. Yeah, there's a lot about the Black Dahlia murder, and then they've made some horrible movies about it though. By the way, where she's like coming back to life or some shit like that. Yeah, and what makes the Black Dahlia is the way her mouth was all cut up, and the fact she was cut in half and left that way. That was like some kind of ritualistic. Red Dragon, it was okay. The Red Dragon was a decent serial killer movie, but to be a remake of one of what I consider one of the greats, one of the goats. I mean, oh my goodness! I wish we could do watch-alongs without getting sued. In Manhunter, there is a scene where William Graham, by the way, the role of William Graham, and in my opinion, is why he got Grissom in CSI. But hey, where he's sitting and he's watching the VHS tapes on the evidence room, and he's trying to figure out why the killer knows the things that he knows. The scene build up. Michael Mann knows how to do this. He's the only one that I think does this right. There's music that builds up, and he keeps repeating to himself. And I'll never forget this because he's looking at why the killer was able to get into the house and why he knew that there was a lock here, why he knew what kind of people lived here. and why he could remember in Manhunter, he kills everything. He kills the pets, everything, and he buries the pets. So he's like, well, I remember seeing doggy, dog doesn't have a collar, but you know it's the lead's dog and the Jacoby cat. And you know everything else you need to know because everything to you is seeing. Everything about your method is seeing through the eyes of the victim, living. And he finally figures out how that particular serial killer is picking his victim, and it is one of the greatest scenes in movies. Period. When Graham figures it out, watch Manhunter for the whole movie because Hannibal Lecter in there is excellent. Some of the quotes that Brian Cox does in there is beautiful. But when Graham figures out how to pick him, he's like, once we find that out, we'll find him, and he's exactly what he does. So I love that movie. And yeah, Red Dragon comes out, and the only reason why Red Dragon even came out like that is because of Silence of the Lamb years later, and Hannibal Lecter was made famous by Anthony Hopkins. He won the Academy Award for it. And he's great in Silence of the Lambs. Don't get me wrong, but the original version that is in Manhunter is beautiful. And it's the only reason that they remade that movie is because Hannibal Lecter had made the character famous again. All right, 38 minutes, so I got about 7 minutes to see if I can keep control of myself and keep this a 2-minute Midnight Express. Cool, you guys have your own makeshift 10 Pals above that. Yeah, we actually do. And we actually have a London clock. You'll see it in the pictures. In some of the pictures, we actually have a London mock-up clock that's across the way from that very bar. So, yeah, it's going to be a fun night. Did you know Bell lives in the same area as the Green River Killer? Yeah, Bell. I think there's a couple of people that we stream with that live in the Pacific Northwest. It's in the SeaTac area. The Green River Killer did his murders in a place called SeaTac, which is right near the airport, and it leads right into what's the prostitute district of Seattle. And then the Green River is right there. So he would pick up his victims and kill them and dump them off there. And he was so prolific that he was dumping so many bodies there from 1982 to 1984 that they would be finding one body that he killed years ago and find another one that he just killed. They were finding bodies, one after another, and it just, he admitted to killing Gary Leon Ridgway was his name. He admitted to killing 49 people. He probably killed more, but he probably did so in states that have the death penalty, so he never pled to those, and there wasn't enough evidence to go after him. He was actually only charged for a few of the murders, but there was so much other circumstantial evidence to tie him to everything else. He had eventually admitted them, and he actually started walking them to the bodies. But yeah, if you live in the Seattle area, I've actually visited the sites, some of the sites. Not because I went out there on special, because when I deployed out of Fort Lewis, which is in Washington, when we were doing our Seattle tour, we were all driving around, and then as somebody who studied the Green River case, is before they even found the killer, I was studying the Green River case when I was in high school, and they didn't identify the killer until 2001. But when I went to deploy out of Fort Lewis, the Seattle Tacoma Airport is right there. So we went to certain areas because I used my crime scene pictures. But yeah, and he killed for over 30 some odd years, basically off and on. And he killed so many people that he was numb to the killing. Interesting case. Like I said, DNA got him, but yeah. And there was a lot of other murders that was taking place in the SeaTac area that were just random murders, but if there were strangulations, which is what was his modus operandi, was strangling, they all got tied to the Green River Killer. And as he started to admit the ones he did, other people started, getting convicted of these other ones. So, yeah, I know she lives in Pacific Northwest. If you live in the Seattle, and the Pacific Northwest is unfortunately home to a lot of different serial killers. Ted Bundy came from there. The Spokane Killer came from there. The Green River Killer came from there. There is a lot of serial killers that came from the Pacific Northwest. I always make fun of my buddies that live there. I'm like, you guys live in the serial killer capital of the world. You know that? So yeah, William, they derive a lot of inspiration from Silence of the Lamb, with Jeffrey Dahmer helping to try to catch the Green River Killer. Yes and no. All right, so when it comes to Silence of the Lambs, it was a composite. I can't believe I know this much, and I'm talking about this on a YouTube stream. But okay, here we are. It was a cross. It was between because Jeffrey Dahmer happened after. Okay, I see what you're saying. They derived a lot of inspiration from Silence of the Lamb, with Jeffrey Dahmer helping to try to get. Okay, I see what you mean. Yeah, because the original people that they used to, when they were thinking of Silence of the Lamb, was actually Ted Bundy, and some of the other people that they were using when they would go in for behavioral science. Also, another show you guys need to watch on Netflix, the greatest thing that Netflix has ever done, Mindhunter. Please, David Fincher, give me a third season. Mindhunter is the best thing. Wednesday is great. Stranger Things is great. Mindhunter is the best thing Netflix has ever done, especially for a serial killer aficionado like me. I love Mindhunter. But yeah, Jeffrey Dahmer. They did visit him. They visited a couple other different people. They visited Edmund Kemper. They visited a lot of different people to see if they could find the dream. And they actually visited Jeffrey. Ted Bundy as well. If you watch Mindhunter, that's what behavioral sciences does. That's why a lot of these guys are alive. They're studied. Edmund Kemper was studied for years, and Charles Manson was studied for years so that they could get into the mind. So yeah, you're exactly right about that. And but yeah, watch if you want to get a better detail of what it goes into the behavioral sciences, please watch Mindhunter seasons 1 and 2. It got 2 seasons. It didn't get canceled. David Fincher just said he was too busy to do a season 3 right now. And I'm like, dude, why is it my shows? All the shows that I want to watch and want to last 3 or 4 years, the guy's too busy to finish. I'm like, come on. All right, I didn't know that until recently. Yeah, there was a lot of talk about that, and a lot of it didn't get published till after Dahmer was dead, because a lot of people thought it was everybody wanted Jeffrey Dahmer dead. Everybody wants these guys dead, but you know what? They do have a value to society, to a point where they're the best people to ask when it comes to trying to find these people. I mean, like I said, that mechanism in their mind that allows them to shut things off. We don't have that. Normal humans don't have that. So we need to go to these guys. They're the best resources. I'm going to ask a very basic question, William. Since you've made it more sense of the DC situation than anyone, why didn't they offer you to DC? Because I'm not a filmmaker. I can give you what I consider to be a common sense equation, but mine 100% comes from the consumer part of it. I am a knowledgeable customer, because what we do on a daily basis, but I am still a customer. I don't have a film background. I don't have any of that stuff. I mean, the best I could ever be to anybody on any level is a consultant. That's about it. But when it comes to the nuts and bolts of it, I mean, most of us that are on YouTube don't know the half of it. I have an understanding, a basic understanding of how the film business works, because I talk to people and I ask them, and then I pay attention. A lot of the information a lot of people have is out there already. It's just that the difference between me and the next guy is is how you discern and put that information together. Like right now, the James Gunn situation to me reads as, right now, it's a bunch of pieces that are waiting to be put together, but we do not have the ability to do so. And that's what I look at it. I tell people to disassemble the picture in our head that we've made of what's going on. All right. Because we've made a composite mosaic that may not even exist. We fit things where they may not fit, just because we don't have anything else there and we want something to be there. So the only person that can put this together for us in a way that we can actually react with any dignity and common sense are James Gunn and Peter Safran. And all I'm telling people right now is to wait until we have more information before we flip the switch. Some of the stuff I've heard so far, if it is true, I don't like. I don't even think they are starting to like it, because you're starting to hear things about not so much of a reboot and all that. But once again, we are a tweet away from feeling real good about this. He could make an announcement tomorrow or Monday that just says, you know what, wow, that's fucking cool. I'm in. But right now we're just waiting on the edge, and we don't have information. We follow these trades, and these trades are like crack dealers. They give you just enough rocks to keep you coming back. You know, they don't have to lie to be assholes. They just have to give you enough information so that we chase their tail. But what we do with these crumbs of information is we do damage to each other on YouTube. We cuss each other out on YouTube. We get into Twitter wars. We drive ourselves up a wall wondering, when all we really need to do is wait for the horse's mouth to start making those horses sounds, and James Gunn will do that. Then we can make a determination on whether, you know, we want to go forward or not as a consumer. So, but yeah, my knowledge comes from just basically paying attention. And the thing that the Army and running my own business first taught me is to observe first, and listen. I mean, you if you're only talking to hear the sound of your own voice bounce off of your pens, then you're not going anywhere. But observe, watch, listen, and then act, then respond. I hope that's what makes me different from some of these other guys, you know. But you know, we're all different. In fact, I really don't know the motivation of the Green River Killer, and that took place from the early '80s until almost 2000. Unbelievable, yeah. And even when they interviewed him, he just he had issues with women, and the way he was brought up, I guess, and a lot of these guys have mother issues. They are basically killing that female in their life over and over again, even if they never kill that female that caused the problems. Like most of these guys didn't kill their mother. Most of these guys didn't kill that girlfriend that turned them down or divorced them or whatever. But they never had the guts to confront that person. But they take it out on these faceless people because they consider them trash. The Green River outright said he considers the people he killed trash. So, all right, Daniel Martin, did you know that Bill? I'm right there, William. My mom and dad had a fascination into, yeah, and then now mine didn't pass down from my parents. I'm just something's wrong with me, I guess. Arthur Lee. Okay, yeah. They had a lot of circumstantial evidence, and that movie's awesome, by the way. I love the way it opens up with Hurdy Gurdy Man and it closes with Hurdy Gurdy Man. That's the creepiest fucking song you'll ever hear. There was a lot of in 2007 was when Zodiac was released. Now, what there was, I think, DNA evidence, some type of DNA evidence that they had. Arthur, we were just talking about the Zodiac today, and yeah, the ending of that movie for Hollywood purposes was great. However, yeah, Arthur Lee Allen and Robert Graysmith's book Zodiac advanced Arthur Lee Allen's who died in 1992 as a potential suspect on circumstantial evidence. Allen had been interviewed by police from early days of the Zodiac investigation and was the subject of several search warrants over a 20-year period. In 2007, Graysmith noted that several police detectives described Allen as the most likely suspect. In 2010, David Toschi stated that the evidence against Allen ultimately turned out to be negative. Toshi's daughter said in 2013 that her father was always thought that Allen was the killer, but they did not have the evidence to prove it. Mark Ruffalo, who played Toshi in the 2007 film Zodiac, commented, "If you get into who those cops were, you realize how they have to have taken their hunches, their personal beliefs out of it." David Toschi said to me, "As soon as the guy walked in the door, I knew it was him. He was sure it was him, but he never had a solid piece of evidence. So he had to keep on investigating every lead." In October 6, 1969, Allen was interviewed. So there were some things that the handwriting expert is what they say cleared Arthur Lee Allen. He had in 2019 there was a box of his writings that they compared to the codes and everything else that and that's why a lot of people are split on whether Arthur Allen or Arthur Lee Allen was the killer. There was enough circumstances, evidence to continue to hit search warrants, including search warrants that were issued after he was dead. So like I said, it's inconclusive. It's fascinating though. All right, yes, let's see. The term serial killer didn't exist back then. No, it did not. And as a matter of fact, the first something else I should not know as a sane, non-sick human being. Um, H.R. Holmes or H.H. Holmes was the first recognized serial killer to where the methods were actually pieced together as somebody who killed with a signature like he did, and he was executed. And a lot of people thought that he was Jack the Ripper. In fact, one of his relatives actually did a TV show about how he thought, but the timeline didn't match up, and it was all circumstantial. But there are the definition of a serial killer. Like, okay, so for instance, in most cases, a serial killer kills using basically the same means or very similar means, or he goes after a certain particular victim, even if he changes his means. The difference between a serial killer and a mass murderer is a mass murderer just kills a lot of people at any given time. A serial killer is methodical. So a lot of the definition didn't get rounded out until the late 70s is when they started to identify and go back in cases and find. And we also didn't have a database that connected everything together too. That's another reason why Zodiac was never captured, and one of the reasons why Ted Bundy was able to go from state to state even while he's escaping custody is because we didn't have an international database that linked all the information together like we do now. Ted Bundy is another one that if he did his killings today, wouldn't have killed as many people as he did. He would be caught. We wouldn't have all these exciting and intriguing stories if we had modern technology back then, because these guys would have gotten caught. They were so pompous that some of them toyed with the police. So, all right, Zeno, yep, Daniel, Jack the one hit. Well, yeah, that's what he would have been. That's what he would have been. Hey, how you doing, Vince? John Wayne Gacy and those clown photos, that literally freaks me out, burying bodies in his house. Yeah, and the amount of bodies that he buried in his mouth. But once again, here's a guy who was able to steep through the system, even though he had conviction for sexual assault. We didn't have the laws in place and the tools in place to alienate a guy like that, like we do now. So, say if you were a child molester in Arizona, you're in a database and you're tracked wherever you go. If your parole allows you to go live in San Bernardino or something like that, there's a database that alerts people or even around you, and or at the very least alerts law enforcement. John Wayne, if that had been in place when John Wayne Gacy was alive, he wouldn't have been able to kill that many people. He wouldn't even be able to get the kind of business license and construction license that he was at. Anything that would have, allowed him to be under minor or near minors, he wouldn't have been able to do. But it was the 60s and the 70s, and that's what happens. What's up? Look, it's William. Cat orange, whistling hand, pink eye waving. Hey, hi, Ray. I can't wait till you get to come out here in Vegas. Finally meet you guys and meet you in person. And I'm not wearing your cat ears right now, simply because I don't have anybody else on the stream with me. She's crazy. All right. Yeah, I don't know. How did we get to? Oh, because I'm doing Project Ripper. That's how we got on it. So Forrest Williams, orange hand, orange covering. I guess those are the emojis she's using, and I can't see them when I see them up here. Daniel, I love true crime. So yeah, this is weird because I know those are emojis, but to see the emojis worded out is kind of neato. Me and my sis watch old eps of America's Most Wanted and Forensic Files, and there's a Forensic Files too that I watch. That they have. It took them forever to put it out, but now that it's here, I watch it. Yes, Curious Matter, of course. Daniel, it's not good for anxiety, but the reenactments are gold. Yeah, and like I said, that's why we're doing hands-on. Like I said, we're performing an autopsy on one of the victims because there are clues in the autopsy that are going to help catch the killer. Nah, this is Mio. You just add it to your water. It's vitamin B, vitamin C, and all that stuff. So it's healthy, sugar-free. So it's basically healthy. It helps. I usually have orange, but it helps my mouth from drying up because when I start talking, there's no caffeine in it. So after I'm done, I can actually go to bed without without being wired up like I am during the daytime. I remember the Long Island Killer. They still haven't caught him. The Long Island Killer may be several different people. And I do think they have some. I think they've caught some of the people, but I don't think all those murders, the torsos and all that, I don't know if they're all connected because some of them are over times where it might not be possible for it to have been one person. I got to look up that one though. It's been a while. There's a Discovery. Believe it or not, we're always talking Discovery. Discovery has a documentary on the Long Island Killer. I got to watch. Manhunter was really freaky. As good as Anthony Hopkins was, that version of Hannibal Lecter was what? Yeah. See, what Michael Mann knows how to do is he can tell you a violent story without a lot of violence. He told a serial killer movie using whites and pastels like he did in Miami Vice. Hannibal Lecter is not as gruesome. I mean, he's still Hannibal Lecter, but there's a quote, and when you hear Brian Cox say it, and it's a clue that he gives to Will Graham, and Will Graham uses it to help him catch the tooth fairy, which is the protagonist in that. If one does as God does enough times, one will be as God is. And that was a clue to him is a serial killer has that control. He is God in that moment. And that's what the tooth fairy was aspiring to, was to be worshipped as a god, in the eyes of its victims. So yeah, it was that, and just the wording alone, and like I said, just to build up the music, everything about Manhunter is a classic. singing slasher. Are you going to cover any other shows like you did with House of the Dragon, i.e., Last of Us? I may. I think I may. I don't know if I'll get the following that we did with House of the Dragon because it's House of the Dragon, but I'll give it a shot. I need something to do on Sundays. I'm not as versed now. I'm going to be honest. If we do, I'm going to have to bring on Thade or somebody because I am an expert on Game of Thrones, all things Game of Thrones. So I can carry on a conversation about Game of Thrones as good as I can about serial killers. I am not an expert on Last of Us, so I'd have to bring somebody on, but it's a possibility. Yeah, John Walsh carried that show. If you've ever seen a Maniac in Your Town called, yeah, he was intense, and he had a personal stake in it. He had his son, Adam Walsh. Adam Walsh was where we stopped being innocent kids. I was Adam Walsh's age when Adam Walsh was kidnapped and killed. Before Adam Walsh, we were all latchkey kids. We walked home. We crossed 4 lanes of traffic on our own. We knew not to talk to strangers. We got home and all that. After that is when everybody started getting real paranoid because Adam Walsh was randomly snatched up while his parents were there. And that the Missing and Exploited Center, all that stuff popped up. And like I said, it changed the course of John Walsh's life. Now, he thinks he knows who did it. But he didn't have enough evidence. But he's certain that he knows. I think this guy's name is Otto something. I forgot. I don't have it in front of me right now, but he's certain he knows. And a lot of the police say that if he would have lived, they would have been able to convict him. So, but yeah, that was a pretty gruesome murder. That scared the shit out of us as kids. William is giddy over said, "Nah, let's not use the word giddy. People did die. People's lives were cut short. But at the same time, it is part of history. It is part of the environment we live in, and it is intriguing. World War II, a lot of horrific things happened in both world wars. I still study those wars. Those things happen. So I don't think giddy. I get excited out of the intrigue and out of the exploration, but the grounding of it is the fact that they were real, especially when you get into the modern age of serial killer. Once you have, in order to study these things, you have to disassociate yourself from the horror. Otherwise, you won't get past the first. I mean, it looks like a cop investigates them. I mean, it's horrible, but like at the same time, it happened. A lot of the genres and stuff that I'm in are based on serial killers. Ed Gein, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I mean, there's a lot of serial killers. There's a lot of movies and things that are based inside that are based off of these things, so they are there to be studied. But I don't know, Giddy. I got to come up with it. I'm intrigued. Intrigued. Frankly, anything to expand the conversation besides the Twitter usual. By the way, serial killer show Pagan Peak on Amazon. I have not seen that. I've heard of that, but I have not seen that. It's on my list. Okay, William, but how many known serial killers are based in Vegas? Not very many. By the time Vegas became, we got to realize though that this would be a hard place to pull it off, simply because let's just say Las Vegas Metropolitan Police are going to do what's necessary to make sure that you're not afraid to come to Vegas. All right, they'll find the person here, because if the first thing on national news is that a serial killer is out and about in Vegas, trust me, they're going to find that guy, and they're going to break whatever rule they need to do to find that guy. And if they know who it is, and they don't have the evidence, yeah. Vegas is a different city because of the fact that we're an attraction we're a small city, and they are very protective of the image here, and they would put every resource they had available. And just like London, there's cameras everywhere in most of these areas. It would not be hard. You could have somebody get away with it for a while, but eventually, like I said, you would have the entire weight of the Metropolitan North Las Vegas Police Department, the State Patrol, everybody, because if you were killing in Vegas, you'd probably be doing it in the tri-state area. So I would have to believe that it wouldn't last as long as it would in certain other cities, unless it was a serial killer who killed here and then moved on to kill other places, like the I-95 killer or something like that. So he had a victim here in Vegas, but he didn't do all his killing here in Vegas. So yeah, that's what makes me think that it would happen here. And there are certain it's like the Route 95 or Route 90, the killer that that when we had the mass shooting out here 5 years ago. There are certain things you can't do as far as like firearms and proximity things that that anywhere else in Vegas you wouldn't be able to pull off, but because the casino industry and the tourist industry is so protective of its image, there are certain things you could never have happen again. So yeah, I think if a serial killer was based here, he would have to be operating outside of Vegas, even if because I think we'd get him pretty quickly. Oh my God, the Unsolved Mystery. Yeah, Robert Stack, creepy music. The only thing I didn't like about Unsolved Mysteries is sometimes those fucking mysteries never got solved. That pisses me off. When you give me all this evidence and then hear the rolling credits. But I loved hearing his voice. And like I said, when you heard that theme song, oh my goodness. Yep. There's a lot I could tell you about Silence of the Lambs. I mean, I could tell you everything about Silence of the Lambs. I mean, it was like I said, a lot of the study that happens. And I go back to Mindhunter, because Mindhunter was the birth of the behavioral science unit in the 70s. And what she is doing is exactly how that unit started off, is talking to serial killers. So, yeah, you were sort of right though. Charles Manson. Oh, dude. Charles Manson, season 2. Episode 5, his 10 minutes. I'm telling you that Manhunter is the best thing that Netflix has done. Within that best thing that Netflix has done is the 5 minutes that Charles Manson is on the screen. It is eerie. It is great. Obviously, I know Charles Manson was a horrible, filthy human being, but the portrayal of him as they're interviewing him, I watch it over and over again. I actually have it clipped in YouTube. I just watch it. When I go on Netflix, I have it saved in that spot. I love that portrayal. And Edmund Kemper, they got a 6'9", creepy looking dude that looks and sounds like him. Oh my goodness. He was. I really need him to come back and do it. Snapped, I haven't seen Snapped. There's a lot of stuff I haven't seen. Oh, Reyes out here handing out serial killer show references. All right. Have you seen how visual effects heavy Mindhunter was? I look it up on YouTube. Every natural scene is digitally manipulated or altered, but yeah, it's still cool. the fact that they go through that effort is like, my goodness. Like when you look at Kemper, the interviews, and when you watch the special features thing that they did, they're sitting side by side to because the way they reacted it, it's like, holy cow, man. Yeah, Arlene Morehouse. Very rare that a woman is a serial killer, but it does happen. Okay, William, do you watch Go? No, I don't. I don't. I listen. Everybody else watches them, but I'm like, dude, you guys are doing a whole lot of hunting and a whole lot of night vision. And where's my ghost? At least Scooby Doo gives me a ghost. Hey, you know what? That's fine. That's fine. I'll take it. For Manhunter, yeah. And Michael Mann, he has a signature score that he uses for his stuff, even down to the Cocaine Cowboy stuff that he did. Yes, but Mindhunter is done in ways that you never know or think or believe it's captured that way. Yeah, it is seamless in my opinion. I love Mindhunter. I love Mindhunter. Mindhunter is so familiar. Oh, watch them all. Watch them all. Yeah, the entire bridge was digital. BTK was killed. America's Most Wanted showcase a ton. Hard to sleep silent after learning that he could be anywhere. Yeah, he never left Kansas. He never left his own neighborhood. He lived in that same neighborhood that entire time. Wow, BTK to this day is one of the most exotic, stunning, and just creepy to kill. And he killed a little kid. I mean, he was a horrible person, but he killed 5 people first stop. He killed the Otero family, and that was a mass murder. All right, and then he would kill Nancy. I mean, at one point I could name all of his victims. You know, that's how much I studied. And when I was deployed, they caught BTK while I was deployed overseas. And of course, I'm studying because I'm bored over there off my ass in the middle of the desert. Well, I'm studying serial killers, and like I said, it was most fascinating because BTK hadn't been caught yet. So I was studying all this information and just putting this picture in my head of what this guy was. And like I said, he ended up admitting to killing 10 people, but he killed 5 people right off the bat. And then he killed Nancy Fox, the Otero family, Vicky Wegler. I used to be able to name them all because I had another buddy in the army with me who was the same way. We just studied serial killers. It was just what we did. It was fun. It was fun in the sense of the mystery of it, you know, just like a murder mystery movie with. But yeah, we all realized that real people, and the way he killed people was just horrific. I mean, BTK, for those of you who don't know, bind, torture, and kill. That's how he signed his name. Okay. Nah, you're safe. Hey guys, same name, making a mind. Hey, listen, Taron, I don't need to hear this from you right now. I'm holding out hope. I think eventually he will get around to it. He's just doing other shit, but somebody's got to. It's got to happen because there's a BTK is throughout the whole thing. There's parts, you know, like Marvel has a post screen scene. Well, every now and then you'll see the BTK killer doing and making his rounds, and you know it's him because they show him. But he's not the subject of that episode. He'll just like the beginning. He'll be like going through his kill kit, and then he'll stare up, and then he'll switch to the normal episode. Or at the end of the episode, he's doing something that he's known for, and it's leading up to him being the main guy at the end of the series. But they need to get there. They need to get there. Let's see. All right. Yes, it is. Manhunter is the definitive version of that movie. All right, so we're gonna wrap this up because once again I lost control. There goes my 45 minutes. Hey, listen, I just jumped on to talk about anything. But I started the show with my Jack the Ripper commercial, and people asked about it. I'm like, once again, there's 2 subjects that I probably shouldn't start: wrestling and serial killers. Yeah. And they're still, you know what's funny is they're still finding money, ripped up money with the serial numbers from, I mean, this is like years later. We had too many movies with Hunter in the title. Messed me up too. It's a TV show. Like Manhunter is a 1986 movie by Michael Mann that first starred the first appearance of on TV or cinema as Hannibal Lecter. And then Mindhunter is the TV show on Netflix. Yeah, it did. Hey, listen, I grew up in San Bernardino, buddy. And who knows, you could be right. San Bernardino is a lot of things. I used to call it the armpit of Southern California, and I could because I grew up there. I grew up on Norton Air Force Base. Let's see. Santa Carla? Ooh, I thought it was Detroit. Oh, to plain yogurt? I just don't do yogurt. It's tasting. All right, what's on the West Coast? I'm guessing Santa Carla. Okay, so that's scanless. All right. All right, so I'm skipping through. Okay, now you guys are doing recipes, so let me go down here. Yeah, he helped a lot of family get closure. He helped with BTK. He helped with a lot of different people. He put a lot of people in jail. Put a lot of people up. That show Sunday nights at 8, man, right before The Simpsons. That show was golden. Yeah, he was decapitated after the fact. They think he was strangled, and then the body was dismembered and spread across Florida, or a bridge. That was a bridge. So, yeah. Oh yeah. He has another show now. Yeah, Adam, and you know what? All the parents of the era. I don't know how old you are, Chuck. They made us watch that shit. You see what happened to him? You see what happened to him? Like, scared as hell. I'm a big fan of the Killer Talk. I watch a lot of mobsters and YouTube talk about the people that either killed or knew who got killed. Hey, there was a guy on YouTube. You probably already know him, Michael Francis. He's a pro made guy. He has his own YouTube channel now. Man, that guy's great to listen to when it comes to mobs. How you doing, Jacob? Yes, I remember Waco, February 1993, with ATF raided David Koresh's compound because he was mass producing weapons and altering weapons, and he was served with the warrant of that and selling weapons. He was also how do you live, but would have been charged with child endangerment and a whole bunch of stuff because he was trafficking weapons out of the compound. And that's why it was the ATF that was involved, the Bureau of Alcohol, Fire, and Tobacco at the time of the Department of Treasury, because he wasn't just keeping weapons. Those weapons were finding their way into other people's hands, and it was a lot of other stuff. But yeah, that ended crazy. Wow, I remember that it was yesterday. Eat my tacos. There's not much to say about it. I mean, I remember the guy thought literally was giving sermons from the Bible, thinking he was Jesus. And, this is all going to end with all going up in fire. I mean, if you listen to what he was saying throughout the negotiation, I was watching that on TV as it happened. I'm like, all those people are dead. None of those people are getting out alive. All right. He had the mentality of this is going to end with me, and everybody is going. He reminded me of what Jim Jones had been reported to be like. And as soon as they started that siege, I remember talking to my dad, because this was just before I joined, just before I went into the Army. We were watching that. He's going to kill all those people. And a month or so later, all those people were dead. None of those people were going to get taken. Like anybody that didn't get out and didn't get negotiated out, like with some of the children, and the ones who stayed, those people were all dead. So I remember him talking, and then the more I found out about him, I'm like, this guy was, if he wasn't killed there, I think he would have been killed somewhere else, because I think that he was one of those guys. And this was before we knew about what militias were and what all these type of things were. These things weren't in the news. This was before Oklahoma City and all this. So we didn't have these people with, these mass cult mentalities that would do this kind of damage. They weren't not Americans. We had terrorists and all that, foreign pyramids, but we didn't have anybody stockpiling weapons like this, trying to take out the government, all those type of things. In the mid 90s is where all this stuff came out. And as a matter of fact, Timothy McVeigh was cited. Waco was one of the reasons why he did what he did. So you had that mentality that wasn't known to us at that time. Now it's every day you hear about groups like this. But yeah, David Koresh was a special one. He was off his rocker. Yeah. Well, is there a movie based in true crime that you thought was exploitive? No. I am personally, and don't take this the wrong way, I think when they do true crime movies, I think they hold back to the point where they shouldn't make the movie. I understand that there are graphic things that serial killers have done um in their acts. And the layman might say, well, wow, you can't, that's too gory or that's too graphic. You can't put that on. That's indecent. This is the way I figure it. If you're going to tell the story, tell the story. I think that if you're going to make a story about a serial killer, you depict it as graphic as he did it, because I think that it's the same thing as you making a case. If I was in a jury and you were bringing that person to me to decide whether this person is going to be found guilty or it's a death penalty, and I know it's entertainment, but at the same time, I'm trying to get you to believe in something. So if I were in a courtroom, you would see all the evidence. It would be unfiltered, it would be uncensored. So I think some true crime movies hold back to the point to where I never feel what the movie is supposed to be about. I never feel the impact of either the victim or the mentality of the killer, because they've softened it up. So not only is there not a true crime story that I think was exploitive, I don't think they go far enough to actually tell the story. Now, I'm not saying do gratuitous nudity or rape or gutting and all that, but whatever is part of the story, if you're trying to bring me and put me in that story, then go all the way. Otherwise, don't make the movie. If it's not wrong for people to be offended by some of the stuff that a serial killer would do and not want to be on TV, but then don't make that movie. You know, don't give me I call it the Freddy Krueger complex. Freddy Krueger was a child killer, and he's suspected of doing much worse things, far worse things to children. Yet we all sit in the theater laughing at Freddy, he's telling jokes, he's funny, ha ha ha. If you had it depicted on screen what Freddy did, like killing kids, you know, then you would not be laughing at Freddy Krueger. You would be horrified at Freddy Krueger. He wouldn't be the punchline of a joke. So when you do that, you take you take the villainy out of what these people were in real life. So no, to answer your question, no, I don't think I think a lot of true crime movies take it easy on things so they don't want to offend anybody. William, do you think James Gunn will use John Williams' Superman theme again for a Superman movie, or will he create a new one? I think he will do both. I think he will use a new one, and I think he will use John Williams, because John Williams' theme has a lineage to that, be honest with you, goes throughout several Superman. And to me, I think it's cool because once you hear that John Williams theme, it's like you've been accepted in this brotherhood. You're now Superman. So the Waco show on Netflix was good, but the documentaries are the best. Yeah. Season 2 of Mindhunter was fucking brilliant. Waco, Texas, those cold killings are on a whole nother level. Jim Jones, Kool-Aid, unbelievable that someone could be that influential. Yeah. That's a whole nother topic right there. Colts. Dude. Oh no, we cannot. Listen, if I were in that cult, once they started talking about castrating themselves, I'm out. I'd have been like, hey, you know what? Thanks for these cool ass Nikes. Thanks for this cool jumpsuit and all this other cool stuff. But look at the time. I got to go. You guys are going to do what? Oh no, I'm sorry. I have to go. I'll see my way out. I'm out, you know. Oh no, I'm not drinking anything like that. I'm not allowing you to cut my nads off over that. That's what the guys did. And I'd be like, hey, at some point, I would have been the guy in the documentary that had been like, yeah, there were some really cool people up until, and then, you know, I'd, you know, be writing my own book. But yeah, that the Heaven's Gate people, we were waiting for Haley's comment. Oh my goodness. Ed Kemper, I know what you mean. Yeah, but he was, oh my goodness, hearing him is so creepy. We the world needs Mindhunter 3. Oh yeah, like I said, I sorry, Enosh, I have turned the Poindexter Lounge into the Serial Killer Lounge. Yeah, waiting for a comment. I would like, dude, can I keep the shoes? If not, I'm leaving anyway. How you doing, Navajo? Do you think the reboot is a bluff or got data mining? I think that I don't think that he ever put out that he was going to do a reboot. I think that we've heard certain things and we got on that train. I personally think that the reboot is going to be a partial a selective reboot or whatever it is. But once again, I don't want to go too far into it. So because the more I talk about it, I realize the more questions I have. All right, William, do you like? Yes, I do. I love Dexter, but fuck that last season, the Dexter New Blood, which by the way, up until the last two episodes was brilliant. The last two episodes was a fucking insult to my intelligence and my attention to detail as a Dexter fan. You always, after 9 years or however many seasons of intrigue and brilliance and us having to be really geniuses to figure out some things, you basically thought we were a bunch of fucking dummies that those last two episodes of the New Blood. It was horrible. But Dexter, I love Dexter overall as a series. Seasons 2 and 4 with Arthur, the Trinity Killer. It's exquisite shit right there. I love Dexter. All right, Daniel Hook, yeah, unnerving as fuck. Sorry. The couple of minutes with the guy who's stalking and doing all that, yeah. Then I don't know what the hell that movie was on. But yeah, with his kill kit and the kill kit and everything he had in the kill kit, yeah, I can see that. BTK was absolutely sad. His kids were willing not even to be alive if it meant their dad being in prison. Yeah, he destroyed. I mean, they did some interviews with his daughter because he destroyed their lives. It was her DNA from a pap smear, by the way, that they used to catch him. And just to imagine that, because he hit it perfectly. I mean, his wife kind of had some inklings that he was a weirdo, that he was a sadist, but I mean, the big cliff from being a sadist to being an actual serial killer. So just imagine, and she divorced his ass like the next day. Being told this guy you looked up to, this guy who raised you, has been a killer. Not only was he a killer, he's killed a whole family. You look at your family, and your family is alive, and this guy has killed a whole family, and he was evil, And you start looking at yourself like, I got this guy's blood in my veins, so yeah, she's had some issues. Yeah, they hate him. I mean, she did. I think she doesn't even see him anymore. She visited him once in prison, and he keeps writing her letters. She just said, "I don't want to read him anymore." And the more she learns about him, she's like, "I'm surprised." She was suicidal for a while too, from what I hear. But yeah, there's a lot of victims in here, and he's a lot. He'll be one of those guys that lives to be 100. That guy. Which one? Which documentary, bro? Dan? Because there's a couple of documentaries that were horrible. I still don't know much about the BTK killer. I actually never knew about Green River Killer Joe Bell. Oh wow, man. Oh, that just tells you you're not as sick as I am, I guess, because I knew about I knew about both of those killers before they were even caught, and it was weird because once you catch them, you're like, all the pictures in your head, you wonder, is this what I thought it would be? But yeah, I grew up with those guys. Yeah, yeah. I mean, if you're talking about Kemper, yes. Have you thought of doing a comic book graphic novel book club? The Black Monday Murders from Image Comics looks like a great read. Nice House of the Lake DC Black Label. You know what? House of the Lake is great. Nice House by the Lake is great. Basketball Heads is also, I think people are great. That's a good idea. I don't know how it's structured. I have to think about that. Doing comic graphic novel. I am going to start doing as soon as I get some time, and that's what I have my other channel set up for, because I'll do it. I'll post it on here as well. But that's the kind of stuff that I'll be doing on the Sci-Fi Center's YouTube page, because I read comics obviously, but I need to start sitting down. And we've done some stuff with like Sci-Fi Center Presents where we've dived into miniseries and the whole lines of comics and things like that, like when we did for Sandman, we did for the Dark Knight. So yeah, that would probably fall into the Sci-Fi Center banner, Sci-Fi Center presents banner. So keep an eye out. That's a good idea. I think I will adopt that. BTK was caught. He was from Wichita. He grew up there. Yep. I don't know anything about Green River Killer one, but out there in the woods, but there's probably bodies everywhere. Oh yeah, there were bodies everywhere. Like I said, it was such a dense area. The Green River area and the SeaTac area was such a dense area that they would literally stumble upon another body while looking for a missing person. So they would be looking for somebody that was missing that they assumed would probably have been killed by him, and they would literally trip over other bodies. He killed so many people. Um, the Batman that Ben Affleck portrays is my favorite Batman as far as individual portrayals. The movie that Robert Pattinson is in is the best overall Batman movie, and I love the way he's portrayed in there. He is portrayed like Batman should be portrayed, as a menace, as a tool of terror and horror if you are doing the wrong things. So it's a tough one to go through. So also, it's time to have the conversation. We need to get William lighting. We do, but this isn't, like I said. This is I have an office trailer that I'm in right now. It's a 50-footer. It's attached to the garage area, and I am clearing out. You guys can't see because I can't turn this area over yet because it's on a regular tabletop. But this is all going to get moved back here, and then the camera, like I do at the center, where the camera is on a thing, a pod, and it's a similar setup like this. I'll actually have the light will actually be above me. The ring light will be above me and below, because I have areas. And then if you look back here, you'll see I have my wrestling belts here. My background will have all of my wrestling belts and all of my like pop figures and stuff that I bring home, and some of my graphic novels. That stuff, I haven't decided whether I'm going to put that behind me here, and then hit the lighting that way over there, because right now I don't have room for the light. This is just. But over here, I have room for not only the light, but I have room. I want to be able to put multiple cameras in, so that when we are doing, like, say, if I do bring home a graphic novel or something like that, I want to show you guys, I don't have to, I can focus and turn this way to do it. And I don't have the room here, I don't think. But the lighting, I want the lighting to be all around me. This is just a temporary setup. Remember, I started off doing the YouTube thing, just getting on Enosh's show. I never thought I'd be doing my own show. I never thought I'd have my own channel. So, yeah, I do need to get new lighting, but it's coming. You can kind of see the reflection off of my face right now, where the actual light is the best and it's set up, and that's where we'll probably move everything. Because, like I said, I like John Campia's setup, to where in front of him he has all these pop figures and shit, and then behind him he has this stuff. I want to have that kind of environment, so when it's a funner, more fun looking thing. But right now, this is my temporary ghetto setup, so. It's coming. I do too. I just don't know how long I can wait. Yeah. Oh, I have and I got to plug it in over there. I actually have, and I have the different color ones too. And I want to have. You can't see it here, but I have a TV here that I look at, and a lot of times I have the show up on it. So I'll have the YouTube show up on it. I want to have that TV behind me, and then have the different color changing lights, like just like kind of like the cat ears change colors. I want that to be happening behind me, but I want the TV to be in the forefront. But I have to have enough. I'm working on it, but I'm also working on doing the store one differently too, because I really don't like doing our shows from my retail counter. So I want to be able to, but I'm also going to change the. I'm dealing with customers at the same time I'm talking to you, and I'm going to try to put it into that too, because it's kind of hard to stop the show. But yeah, like I said, I'm new at the YouTube thing. I've been at it for a little bit, but I am getting better. And like I said, I'm getting better equipment. I got more mics in. I had the little ass ring light that didn't do enough, but I now have a huge one that you can bring it over. So yeah, I'll get better. All right, let's see. When it comes to famous killer, Ed Gein was really, really out there. Yeah, so much so that the Leatherface was based on a William D. What do you think the biggest robbery you never got? No, because I actually think you're going to get one. I actually think that Ben Affleck is going to direct a Batman movie for this James Gunn universe. So, and from everybody who's ever read that script said it's the best script they've ever read as far as Batman goes. And I think that he's going to get the chance to direct his movie. And to me, that would be fucking great. So, I don't think I'm not yet, Jacob. You know, nah, I got it all here. I just like I said, I haven't put it all together yet and made my final decisions yet too. So I got extension cord, I got power strips right here. Like I said, you guys can't see everything because this is just where I set up here because this is where my computer was set up in relation to everything else. And I have cooling and heating. Like during the summertime, I couldn't do it over there because the cooler would have been too loud, and I wouldn't have been able to talk over it. So give me some time. Adam Walsh's father, yes, he is. So all right, guys. Wow, there's a lot of interesting things. And hey, Bell Rev, speaking of the Pacific Northwest, we're talking about your neck of the woods in Green River killer style. Lucky he's been caught. You're safe. All right, so let me see. Yes, I do, by J.D. Salinger. I do. By the way, his son played Captain America in that horrible 90s movie. William, what do you think of the difference between monster killers and body counts compared to serial killers? What do you think? Well, okay, so if we're talking about like cinematic killing as far as monsters goes, I always know it's fake. As graphic as a movie monster killing is, they could stack up 1,000 bodies in the most graphic form. I know that it's fake. A serial killer in real life, it's more unsettling because it's real. You know, we as movie fans and monster movie stuff indulged in the fanatical. The serial killer actually did it, and when the reality is that the one that the serial killer did is real, a real person, that is the difference is the fact that one happened and one didn't. Like I said, most people can see 1,000 deaths on the TV screen, but if they pass a dead body on the street, they freak out because that's real. That's a real human being that has been taken out of the equation. A movie, movie killings is like I said, is a you're indulging in the spectacular, whereas a serial killer is doing the spectacular. So even if a serial killer kills less people than what you would see die on the screen, the fact that all of his are 100% real, that's your distance. So, and okay, so you said mobster. Okay, so now those are real as well. It's almost, you know what, to be a hitman and to kill people like they kill people, you still have to shut a part of your brain off. Rutger Kuklinski, the Iceman, was a serial killer, and he was a mob hitman, so he was the best of both worlds. And like I said, it's the same thing. He shut down a part of his brain that allowed him to do these things, and he went home to his wife and kids as well. So, all right, all right. You miss serial killer talk. Yeah, I can't believe we talked for an hour and 34 minutes about serial killers. Yeah, yeah. That guy is going to be an interesting interview. He looks crazy, and he was methodical. I mean, and like I said, to kill 4 people and just go about your day like nothing happened. Yeah, yeah. We were calling out to you. Yeah, yeah, they caught that guy. Literally, like I said, we don't know everything about him, but they caught him, and his interview is going to be like, because we still don't even know what the motive of his. I think the motive is just he's fucking crazy, and that he got so caught up into the genre and what it meant to be a serial killer that he studied it to a point where he thought he could get away with it. And like I said, just another guy. In order to kill on that level, you don't have the part in your brain that stops you. Like I would be peeing in my pants if I accidentally killed somebody. This guy just went over there, killed 4 people, drove back home. Yes, I have. I've been keeping track of that. I mean, it was just like I said. Whenever there's a mass murder of this such like this, I'm always on it. I'm drawn to it like a moth to a flame. Yeah, he was a made man. He was a made man in the Bonanno family. Was it the Bonanno family? Yeah, he was a made man, and most guys, like I said, he's usually one way out of the mafia, either dead or in prison. I mean, he's and I love it when he starts talking about mafia movies too. Yeah, I saw that briefly. Yeah, like I said, sometimes the world we live in, the real life world we live in, is tons more fucked up than the shit that's in our movies. Yeah, and if you looked at his appearance, he would try to make himself look like Jesus. Yeah, and that's we're 7 days into 2023, Bell. We're 7 days in, not even 7 days in, and we're already the wheels are off the cart. All right, yeah. Okay, that's cool. Fourth, do not join one. That's all I got to tell you. The Idaho stuff is fairly recent. It happened over Thanksgiving, or near Thanksgiving weekend, or just before Thanksgiving weekend. 4 students were killed in a house just off of campus, stabbed to death, and they just now made an arrest in that case last week. So, but like I said, not a lot is known about the Idaho one yet. So, let's see. Yep, she puts it right there. Exactly what happened. All right. Yeah. Now that okay, perfect example of exploitive because that's just goofy. And they've done some John Wayne Gacy stuff too, where the ghost of the clown and all that. Yeah, that's exploitive. Yep, Brian Koberger. Yep. Yeah, he looks like a killer. I ain't gonna be on that jury because if I'm on the jury, you did it. You did it. Don't sit down. You did it. Yeah, that motherfucker. I think sometimes they hold back and not to give attention. Yeah, I think killers do their own. They're doing a great job of their own of finding some of this shit. I listen to a shitload of talk radio while I'm driving, guys. I know all the news. Yeah, Amazon. Woohoo! How is Amazon, man? Is it really as hard as people say it is? I mean, to the point where you're like, you can't even go to the bathroom sometimes. I was watching a news story where they got the jar in there. I'm like, wow. But then I heard people say it's great. So who knows? I work for Home Depot, so I've heard people tell horror stories like that. But I like your little videos with your little Amazon when you're doing the deliveries. It's like, wow. I always want to know. I want you to start doing a documentary inside Amazon. Bell, I'm shook. I live under a rock. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Well, there's a lot going on. You get to be excused. William, did you watch Dahmer and Monsters, the Jeffrey Dahmer story? Yeah, it's kind of disturbing. I guess that was the point. It was it's about as graphic as I needed to ever wanted to see the Jeffrey Dahmer story. I think it's good that you don't know how messed up stuff that's going on. Yeah. Some argued the darker Netflix series was more exploitive, but I argue that the film made the commercial purposes the same. Well, okay, so if Jeffrey Dahmer boiled heads in a pot, Jeffrey Dahmer boiled heads in a pot. He did it. He did it. I mean, there are certain aspects about these serial killers that you cannot deny, and that I don't think you should exclude if you're going to tell the story. I mean, people are not wrong to be disturbed of these elements. If you don't want to make the movie, then don't make the movie. But don't if he did this, then depict that. Because he did it. We didn't, it's not from our minds. Jeffrey Dahmer did it. Now, when you start doing Jeffrey Dahmer and his zombies start coming to life or something like that, that's exploitive and that's stupid. But the real stuff, I think they should go ahead. Yeah, Jeffrey Dahmer, it gave me chills. And look who you're talking to. Not much gives me chills. That damn thing gave me chills, man. And he's dead. He can't hurt me. Evan Peters murdered. Wow. She's still laughing at herself. That's hilarious. I gotta stay strapped out here, and now I got this picture of Rhea with a 9 in the corner with a flashlight. Nobody's coming through my door. I still haven't seen that bell, heard nothing but good things. It's great. All right. I mean, not in a good way, y'all know. Yeah, like I said, I just had to explain my fascination with serial killers to people to where I'm not, I'm not rooting for them. Yeah, free Nikes. Yeah, as long as you could get out. Like I said, you and me would be running down the street saying, "Hey, I had to get the hell out of there. You need to go check on those people." Did you see my jumpsuit? Yeah, the jumpsuit came with some small print though, Rhea. So many weird shit out there, witches, warlocks, killers, and cults. Yeah, but they've always been there. You know what? We got the internet now, so now we know they're out there. Have you watched the Heaven's Gate exit video? Yeah, and that crazy Marshall Applewhite guy with his. As soon as he started talking, as soon as I meet him, I'm out. I'm like, who's this guy? That's our leader. I got to go to the bathroom, guys. I'll be right back. Where's the bathroom? And I'm out the window. All right. You're going to have to chase me. And some of those people were old and frail. You're not catching my ass. Marshall Apple, that guy, with his eyes were all glazed up and shit. I'm like, I'm not following you into the kitchen, let alone anywhere, son. This is sad. I hope this is not true. Maybe I should take my Jack the Ripper promo off the stream so it's not. But yeah, it's a fascinating topic. I mean, it's a very fascinating topic. I mean, like I said, once you realize that it is real, but like I said, everything that's happened to mankind is real. We still got to study it, and it could still be fascinating and intriguing. No, let's not. And somehow less painful. Yeah, I know. Yeah, these people are gone. Who would have thought that the major fashion brands are satanic cultists too? Yeah, or Masons, one or the other. Oh, Heaven's Gates cult. It's a small cult of people. I forget what was in California. They thought that they believed in aliens and UFOs, and that the Hale-Bopp comet, that was a Hale-Bopp comet, when it came and crossed Earth's orbit, that they were going to basically be teleported up to the aliens that inhabited the comet, and that they had to disassociate themselves physically with every possession and all that, and they could only be devoted. They couldn't be devoted to women. That's why they castrated themselves, and they just had to be devoted to this cult. And then when the comet was coming, they drank cyanide because they were supposed to have been transitioning to the comet and fly away and orbit the universe forever. And they all had these uniforms, and they had purple jumpsuits and Nikes. That was what they became a meme pretty much before memes were even existed. But I'm like, at least with Jim Jones forced a lot of those people to drink the Kool-Aid, and he shot the rest. So it's like, at least some of those people were like, oh shit, I got to get out of here. A little bit too late. But with Heaven's Gate, they all willingly did that shit. Yeah. Some of those guys, real life vampires. Some of those guys were on the History channels. Yeah. No, where can I see this? Oh wow. We're just corrupting an entire. Enosh's audience is just getting corrupted right now with all this stuff. Yeah, that's what I was getting at for us. Anyone could be taken by that guy. I don't know, man. And listen, I like free shoes. I like free stuff, but at some point, I'm like, we're going where? You want to cut out my what? Wow, dude. You know what? Here, Marshall, here's your shoes back, dude. I'll leave this shit barefooted. And the jumpsuit is cool. I will leave in my drawers before we go any further with this. Take your jumpsuit back. I'm out. I'll call a cab. I'll explain it to him. No, you can't have that. I'm not being had by that. Terror 90s cult. They were planning to ride a comet to heaven. After that, they killed themselves. Yeah, I remember the videos from that shit. Oh, Heaven's Gate was a cult. Yeah, everybody knows what Heaven's Gate is. We're all sick. Bella, it was on. Yeah, yep. Ricky, Sally Jesse with those glasses. Oh my goodness. Serial killer. Yeah, knock that shit off, you guys. This is not normal. This is not okay. I can't be spreading my infection to the rest of the internet. Man, how many my new diet has been messing with my sleep. That's why I'm here now. Oh, I thought you were just on break. Like, doing the thing. Like a truck driver would be like listening to a radio show. But glad you're up with me. Like I said, this is only supposed to be 45 minutes. I gotta damn it. What I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to time the stream to just shut off. Because I can go on forever. They were found in the house or bunk beds. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, Bill, you used to do a lot of late night stuff. I remember I used to listen to you. Now you're listening to me. It's weird. Bill, I can't stay late for nothing. I wake up like clockwork at 2 or 3. What? Well, I go to bed around 4, so I guess we're up there. Okay, I'm gonna have to go back down nostalgia lane. I watch a lot of Jenny Jones and Montel Jordan. Remember Jerry Springer? Remember Morton Downey? This is Baywatch Nights at Poindexter Lounge, William After Dark. Nah, man, I just popped up here and was gonna talk superhero stuff, I guess. But somehow we've talked an hour and a half, almost 2 hours of serial killer. Jenny Jones and Montel. Peak Television. William Dexter Showtime series provides a series for a 10 episode season 9. Yeah, it's called Dexter New Blood. It's brilliant up until the last 2 episodes, and then you're going to be pissed. Yeah, him and Jerry Springer. Me either. Ooh, wow, that's what it does here. All right, I'm gonna have to watch some videos of these cults. Oh no, see now I've had an adverse influence on Enoch's audience. Have you guys searching out stuff? The fun fact: I live where the Green River. Yeah, Dad, we were talking about this before you came in, Bell. Everybody, like, the Green River Killer lives where Bell lives. I'm like, okay, I'm pretty sure. I wonder if she's listening now. But yeah, and I've actually, even sicker fact that I told them is I've actually been down when I deployed in 2004. When I came back, we had some free time and we did all the tourist spots in Seattle, and I went to some of the areas there. That's how intrigued I was about the Green River Killer. I don't have enough evidence to say that the physical, I'm running out of being able to talk, is false. From everything I've seen in my life, I have enough evidence not to believe that anything is possible. I mean, and they have used the FBI is legit used when they've run out of leads. They'll use these guys because theory is that all of our electronic brain signals can be accessed by one or several people. Who knows? So I think if you're at your wit's end, use whatever you can. All right, YouTube also has audio of Jonestown Massacre while the community was talking about killing themselves. Yeah, and they also have the gunshots. Remember that there was a congressman that got killed, and Jackie Spears took his place. It was Jackie Spears was a staffer, and she was there at Jamestown. So yeah, it was sick shit. Bell, we are talking about it. Stay safe with the bear mace out there. Jeez. Yeah, I don't know, man. We may have to delete the stream. Fourth is spooky as fuck. I know all the Waco types are out there too. Yeah, now they're just called militias. Outside Seattle, yep, the SeaTac area and the Strip. That's what they called it. I work near SeaTac. Ooh, please be careful. I haven't heard of Waco tapes yet. Yeah, it's. I'm hollering y'all acting like living by serial killers is a fun fact. Hey, they can be anywhere. Bell knows the exact. I do. That's not hard to find. I mean, it's public knowledge. You can actually Google map a lot of the stuff. There's actually a website that had all the victims that they found, every body, because they had to mark them for when they put him on trial, because he led them to the bodies. That's how he got his plea deal. He led them to the bodies. So there's every body that the Green River confessed to, Gary Leon Ridgway confessed to. You can actually find it. You can actually find it and go to it if you want. Now, some of the ones by the river, but there are ones that were down by the ditches and stuff like that that were not that far off the road. And there's actually people that will take you out there. It's a. All right, fourth is survivors are even wilder. They're low key apologists. Yeah, because there were Heaven's Gates people that missed the comment or some shit. I don't know. That would have been me, but I would have been an escapee. Thank God he isn't active anymore. I mean, I don't have to worry about that too much. If he was, he only went after sex workers. He was just, he went exclusively after hookers. He actually had one victim that was just a runaway, but he thought she was a hooker, and that was the one that he had not pleaded guilty. I think he would have probably got the death penalty for that one because she was 16. And he killed a 14-year-old too that he thought was a hooker. She was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. But yeah, for the most part, Gary Leon Ridgway killed hookers. All right, one key. One key light would be great. But yeah, I have like I said, I don't like unlike the other one, like at the store, I can show you guys around the store. I don't. This is a very, very fixed and limited location where I'm at right now. This is not where I'm going to end up being. Like I said, all my I'm going to bring home Funkos and stuff like that, and it's going to be in the front table, and then the back table you can't. Like I said, I can't really turn it, but it has lights already there. But I'm clipping lights to the front area so that I get different camera angles. So for instance, we're talking about serial killers, if I want to do a close up, this is the one we do. But when we're not zeroed in on me, and I want to have the screen up that has what we're talking about on it, and an item or something I want to show you, I want to be able to zoom out far enough, so it won't be in this area. It'll most likely be over there, and so because there's just much more depth. But like I said, this is my ghetto setup right now. It'll all come together. Bell, it's effed up. Many people are killed out there in that industry. Yeah. Well, yeah, and that's why a lot of them get away with it for so long because, like I said, for a long time the cops it was a stigma if you were a sex worker where you just weren't worth the investigation, and then to the point where he killed so many people that you just could not investigate it anymore. Yep. Everyone deserves to have justice. Yeah, that was everybody the Green River Killer killed was somebody's daughter, in some cases mothers, sisters, and regardless of their life decisions, those people were not looking for them. All right. Somewhere on a mantle is a picture of that person that does not look like what ended up in the Green River Killer's hands. There's a graduation photo on top of somebody's TV of that person that he threw away as garbage. And once the police started realizing that, when these families started coming forward and say, "Where's my daughter?" that they had daughters and stuff like that, they started to this worthless sex worker wasn't just a faithless person or a bag of bones that they found. It now was attached to a human being. So I think that the sheer volume of the cases changed the way they thought about it. And then you had DNA and you had everything else. So yeah, it was sad the way that guy probably got away. I think Gary Woodray probably killed 30 more people that he could have been stopped if they would have taken the investigation to another level earlier. I'm on to the Sci-Fi Center right now, so right now I definitely be into graphic novel book club, Black and Green Apartment, Truth of Miami. Yeah, and that's what I need to get to doing. I got so much shit going on right now. My New Year's resolution is actually something I can keep. It's to slow the fuck down, and just start taking care of some things I've been procrastinating on. What you're saying is one of the things I really got back into YouTube to do, is talking geek stuff, direct content stuff. I just want to get back to that. And I'm going to be backing away from some of these kind of like DC movie conversations. Unless there's something to report, I'm not going to be on it. I'm going to give my opinion, but I'm not going to spend as much time on it because there are other aspects out there that I really want to attack. And but my day is like wild. So, but yeah, I need to get back on that content, but I will. I just don't put a bunch of LED color lights everywhere, else you'll blur. Nah, what's going to happen is the toy collection is going to be in the front shelf, and this computer that I'm looking at won't be here. It'll be on the screen in front of me, so you won't see a computer in front of me. You'll see my laptop in front of me, but right now I'm sitting in front of a big giant computer screen with the camera on top, and that's what I'm using just to get me through until we're done. Whereas before, the colors behind me will be behind the TV. The TV that shows you guys what's going on will be behind me, and the lights will be behind that, and those will switch colors with topics. And then in front of that, those lights will aim towards the wall, and then the lights that light me will be in front of me and on the side of me. So it'll be about a 10-foot surround that because I really want to do a light. I love Campia's setup. I really love John Campia's setup. I like the fact that he can give you a different angle coming out and then be back in as well, and then have that screen what the topic is. So I need a lot more space than I have right now. So, yep. That's why a lot of serial killers have specific demographic. They preyed upon people that they thought wouldn't be missed. Yep. I use a key light and green screen. It's perfect for me. I think I might have I'm gonna do green screen at the store, but not here. Okay. Ugh. All right. Well, I have utterly failed in the mission. The Midnight Express is what the show is called, and it is to give you 45 minutes of geek talk. I have failed miserably tonight. Not only did I go way the fuck over, like an hour over, somehow we talked serial killers. I don't even know if I want this stream to stay up. I gotta decide, but I gotta go. Thank you guys for coming in tonight. We could probably go on forever, and that in itself is probably weird. Uh, Thank you for coming to the show. Thank you for coming to the Point Nation Lounge. Thank you for adding topics. Thank you for participating in whatever weirdness I brought to the table. Tonight it was serial killers. Okay. And I will see you guys tomorrow for the Sci-Fi Center overnight show. I promise we won't. I will still show my Jack the Ripper commercial because it's a promo and I'm my only sponsor at tonight. But we're not going to dive into this again. This has been the first and last Serial Killer Lounge. Thank you guys for being here, and I will try to. If you guys got any other questions that I didn't hit here, go ahead and put them in the comment section, and I'll do my best to respond. But until then, let me get this off the screen. And I'd like to give a special thanks to Jack the Ripper for making all this possible. And I will see you guys tomorrow night.